Robert. I will present my study, which I did in Germany. It's about like impact of catch and release fishing on catch rates in freshwater predators. I'm from IGB Berlin. Yes. So I think an audience in this here, yeah, it is. I think everybody knows that in recreational fishing, it leads to overfishing and sometimes to the stocks might collapse. And it is classically assumed that the main cause of the overfishing is exploitation. This is pretty easy because if you fish up the population, the abundance will go down and the catch rates will also go down. And indeed, this catch rate decline is considered to show a nonlinear pattern, which is called hyperstability or hyperdepletion. The hyperstability is the case which is frequently observed in demersal fish, most of the fish. And also the hyperdepletion is observed in cases such in fishes that can learn and also fishes that have certain behavioral types that are really vulnerable. However, not only exploitation, but also non-exploitation fishery, like a catch and release fishery, can lead to a catch decline. And this is because fish can develop lure or gear avoidance in social learning or by private learning. And of course, studies on catch and release fisheries have shown that negative impacts of increased angling effort on catch rates. And this is one of the examples of the study. They have shown that the catch rates declining over time when they start fishing at the non-closed lake. So if the angling effort increases, the catch rates go down. However, and these kind of things are studying like many kinds of studies so far. However, the problems of these studies are they don't have really spatial or temporal control, which means that the increasing angling effort correlates with time, and that might compound with seasonal effect or even like yearly fluctuation. And also, in reality, it is hard to study these kind of things in several lakes, so they might not have proper control. So to comprehensively understand whether really catch rate increase leads to catch rate, whether really increased angling pressure leads to catch rate decrease, we need to do really a fully controlled field experiment. So in our study, to tackle this, we did a BACI, which is abbreviated by before-after control impact approach. And this is how it works. So if you only, classically, like a classical case, if you only fish in one lake, and then if you only add the fishing treatment, it looks like this, possibly. But you don't know whether it is like a seasonal effect or not. So we fished in the other side of the lake as a control to tease apart the seasonal effect. However, this still might be a spatial effect. Maybe some places you catch a lot, maybe not. So in our case, we use other lake as a spatial control. The same we fish in like the similar side to tease apart the really the spatial fishing variation. And if you see the difference only between the treatment side, this is definitely the before the treatment effect. In our study, we did actually 4 assessments of catch rates before adding the fishing pressure, and middle assessment, and followed by 2 after assessments period. And the study lakes we did our studies are 2 lakes. The first lake is Kleiner Dollensee, and we fished the south side of the lake as a treatment, and the north-south of the lake as a control side. And as a control lake, we fished the lake called Ryo Futamura, which we fished the north side and south side, that's control side. And the main fish species are both northern pike and Eurasian perch, which is pretty similar. Yes, and of course, the fishing we did is completely experimental. The lake is completely owned by our institute, private, and we also did fully catch and release fishing by excellent anglers. I have to say one of the representative excellent anglers is Robert. The King Robert got the biggest fish in our fishing. And the fishing, we also use the standardized gears. So we forced anglers to use the same lure, chatterbait, shad, and deadbait. And of course, gear choice, boat choice, everything was randomized as possible to control for the possible confounding effect. So we did added the angling treatment to the southern Dolenzi side. We fished 1,400 hours, which corresponds to 114 hours per hectare. This value is higher than the lake heavily fished for pike, which is reported in the previous studies. And I want to highlight this photo. The one photo, the fishing was really hard, but we had like really good moments, like the reunion of the old two fishermen friends. In the middle. Yeah. Okay, so this is the result. So we did catch rate assessment before, during, after 1, 2 in the fishing treatment side, and this is how it looks like. Yes, it decreased over time and slightly increased. Yes, but this might be because of just seasonal effect. We don't really know that. Then, if we plot the northern side, the control side, the picture is pretty obvious. The difference between north and side, the control and the treatment side, diverge over the time. And eventually, at the last sampling period, the catch rates were almost doubled at the control side. But even though we still don't know whether this is a spatial effect. And if we plot the control lake, yes, it is obvious. There was no south side difference in the control lake. So we can really say that angling effort negatively affect catch rate in catch and release fisheries and it decreased since the catch rate up to 55%. Yes, and then the result was same for our main target species. Yes, over the time, the control lake, there was no difference, but at Dolenzi, the difference between north and south diverged over the time. We also counted the number of bites, which might be the more direct indicator of the fish aggression, and the pattern was same. The north-south difference was not observed in our control lake, but in our treatment lake, the difference diverged over the time. So, what decreased catch rates? One, spatial and temporal variation. This was excluded from our design, clearly. Next, yes, we did a catch and release study, but we couldn't fully say that they're all alive. They might be dead after some while, but we think this is really unlikely because the previous studies, which is report on the catch and release mortality on northern pike is around 0 to 6%, which is way more lower than the catch drop we experience at treatment side. Next, yes, this might be another possibility, changing in abundance. Actually, if the stock size decreases, then the catch rate might differ. So we tested that hypothesis using the high-resolution tracking system using the acoustic telemetry. We tracked both pike perch with using acoustic tag and using 41 receiver array covering the whole lake. Yeah, and here's the first result. The left panel is the north side subpopulations north. The subpopulation of the pike in the north side, and the right is the subpopulation on the south side. As you see in the figure, the subpopulation are pretty distinct over the time, which means that each side they have a distinct population. And in addition to that, we also did a translocation experiment to see whether the fish they really prefers the own side. We translocated the pike from one side to another side to see whether they come back or not. If they come back, we could say that it adds another knowledge that the population are pretty distinct. So we translocated back and forth, and this is how the result looks like. This is definitely a pike in the southern side. They are there. They're swimming around. But caught and translocated to the north side, but they come back immediately. And we observed this for 40 out of 30 individuals, so 90% of the pike came back to their natal side. So, changing the abundance, no. So what's next? We perhaps think that fish might be just learning and avoiding the gear. And yes, we're actually tackling on this problem using a lure trolling with an underwater camera like this. And we recorded the behavior towards the lure over the time at both lakes, both sides, to see how the fish are changing the behavior. And we are now trying to score what the behaviors are using the foraging cycle, which is in the Hart book, to see at which stage, at which phase they change their behavior. This is a still ongoing work with our bachelor students, but we are already observing some interesting footages. Like before angling, when we were trolling, we saw the pike coming out of nothing, and they were pretty grabbing the lure really naive. But after we did intensively angling, the fish will be coming, but they're not really biting as it was. They're following long time, inspecting, and if they were biting, but really not like taking, they're just like nibbling and testing. So fish learning, I would say yes, no. 2 minutes, okay. Yes, in conclusion, so we did a BACI whole lake catch and release experiment, and we showed that increasing angling effort leads to negatively impacts fish catch rates, and we assume that is caused only by fish learning. And if it's the case, we can say that fish learning could solely entail really important consequences, such as biases in stock assessments using CPUE, and lowering angling satisfaction, and even landscape of fear, which can cascade to the entire ecosystem. Thank you for your attention. I would like to thank my great team and great anglers who fished a lot even in the hard days. Thank you very much.